Hello and welcome to Views on News. I'm Jawad Tehami. United Nations envoy for peace process in the Middle East, Ms. Saeed has told the United Nations Security Council, let me quote, the Middle East today is undergoing rapid transformation. Its scope and impact remains uncertain, but it presents a historic opportunity. The people of the region can emerge from this period with peace, security and dignity. However, this may be our last chance to achieve the two-state solution. Unquote. Likewise, alternative permanent representative of Pakistan to the United Nations, Ambassador Asim Iftikhar, has reaffirmed Pakistan's resolute support for Palestinian people's right to self-determination, telling the United Nations Security Council that justice for Palestine cannot wait. Also, the Palestinian resistance group Hamas says it has reached a deal to end Israel's delay in releasing 620 Palestinian prisoners. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has posted a video on Truth Social promoting the transformation of Gaza Strip into the Riviera or the holiday destination. He had already proposed to take the ownership of Gaza Strip and displacing around 2 million Palestinians from there to the neighboring countries and also converting it into a Riviera. We'll be taking the analysis regarding as to this particular video. Also, earlier we saw Kingdom of Saudi Arabia hosted a summit on Gaza's reconstruction, and media reports tell that the summit focused on Egypt's proposal to rebuild Gaza. We also know that an emergency meeting of the Arab League is all set to take place on March the 4th in Cairo. All these important developments on this particular front. For that, we are honored to be joined in the studio by Mr. SIDDIQUE HUMAYUN, Director, Advocacy and Communications, Islamabad Policy Research Institute. Mr. HUMAYUN, thank you very much for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Also in the studio, we are honored to be joined by Mr. Abu Bakr YOUNIS, Arab journalist. Mr. YOUNIS, thank you very much for your time also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. On Skype at the same time, we are honored to be joined by Mr. OSAMA NAZZAL, Palestinian Affairs Analyst. Mr. NAZZAL, thank you very much for your time also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Mr. HUMAYUN, let's begin with this particular talk that has been given by the UN envoy for peace process in the Middle East, saying that this is the last opportunity to achieve the two-state solution. Also saying that the Israeli settlement building in the West Bank, Israeli military operations in this occupied territory, and continued calls for annexation present an existential threat to the prospects of a viable and independent Palestinian state and thereby the two-state solution. How do you comment on that?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me on your show. I think what we have seen in Gaza in the past 2 years is nothing short of a catastrophe. Genocide actually, and any of the plans that the West seems to be putting forward seem to be, for a lack of a better word, incendiary. I don't know, and we'll comment on that President Trump's statements later on, but I don't know why saying things like last chance or you know, we won't have another chance again. We've had these last chances since 1947. Actually, when the first Nakba happened in 1948, when hundreds and thousands of Palestinians were displaced, when Israel was created against the wishes of the Palestinians in their land, we had a chance then as well. We had a chance in 1967. We had a chance in Oslo Accords. We had a chance in the Abraham Accords. We've had many chances and we keep failing them. And we will probably continue to fail them because this is going to, I don't honestly see an amicable end to this. Because on one hand, we have an aggressive genocidal state. On the other hand, we have people trying to live their lives in an open air prison.
Okay.
So the balance of power does not exist. And if there's no balance of power, I don't see the powerful one sitting on the table with the weaker one and then coming to a solution. So this is a very complicated issue, very complicated matter, and very tragic matter, if you say.
Complicated matter. You don't see any sort of an amicable solution to this long-standing conflict in the Middle East. What about the forced displacement of the Palestinian people with this particular proposed plan of US President Donald Trump, who is also termed as something out of the box, an idea. What's your understanding regarding
So,
that?
if you read what a genocide is, genocide is the intent of eliminating an ethnic group, right? So it can be done through multiple ways. It can be done by mass killings like we've seen in the past 2 years, and it can be done by picking up a whole community and just displacing them forcibly. So that's the other step they're doing. And I don't know how the leader of the democratic world as such could come on television and state things like that, which are extremely offensive to the people of Palestinians, not just to the people of Palestinians. I was actually discussing with our guest here that Palestine is not just an issue of the people of Palestine, but it is a religious issue as well. Al-Aqsa just does not belong to our Palestinian brothers. Al-Aqsa belongs to you and me as well. So trying to turn it into a hotel or into a Las Vegas on the Dead Sea, that's nothing short of offensive, and I don't think that's going to work, because Jordan and Egypt have both rejected these plans as well. The Palestinian people have rejected these plans. Practically the whole world has. Even the Western so-called supporters of the American government have rejected these plans. So I don't see that's going to happen. It's mostly probably just like a political statement that's being coming forward from President Trump, and I don't think this is doing any good. This is very offensive, and
it's just your understanding is just a political statement. It's not going to happen because there has been a rejection from the neighboring countries, both Jordan and Egypt as well. But there is a video that has been posted on Truth Social. I'll come back to you to take your understanding regarding as to what that basically depicts. Mr. YOUNIS, how this particular ceasefire that was reached between the Palestinian resistance group Hamas, which says they have reached an agreement with Israel for the release of 620 more Palestinian prisoners, and how is it holding up so far? And where do you see this particular ceasefire when we talk about entering into the second phase?
See, first of all, let's name the things differently. Now, we are actually having a group of people on their ground trying to resist the occupiers who have occupied the land for more than 70 years and still killing the people who, the original people of the land. So we shouldn't speak about the Israeli as a state. So speaking about two-state solution, speaking about coming future, so we should understand that what we're looking for, we are looking for an elimination of the occupation. So this is the main target of the whole resistance. So now, come to this point, they are releasing the Palestinians, they haven't released the Palestinians. The Israeli side, they haven't released the Palestinian prisoners according to the deal. So it is the act, and this is the way, this is the attitude of the occupiers, of the mind of occupiers. See, so we understand now, we are not dealing with a state that it takes its word, take the agreements on its, on the reality, but they are playing around. Why? Because they are not even accepting that we are the part of the deal. They want other force to force them. Otherwise, they will not go to any deal. They were forced before on the previous years, so that's why they have released their prisoners. Now they feel that there's no force pushing them to complete the deal. And now they think that they can come back to the war, they can restart the war against Gaza. This is the mentality of the occupiers. This is the mentality of the genociders. So that's what, this is the people whom we are actually facing inside Palestine. And the very surprising thing, which you have just mentioned, that the American, and especially the President Trump, he is now showing a new video, that we were just saying, showing that he's going to change Gaza to, so there's some people killing the Palestinians, other people changing the city of Palestine. Who asked him to change Gaza? Who wanted this? The Gazans or the Israelis? So it's not the Gazans, they're not the Israelis, he come with his own idea. So it seems that now we are dealing with we are in a jungle. It's might is right only. The people who have power, they are the one who want to, they can do what they want. Nobody's stopping them, no, they are not following any rules, no regulations, nothing. It's only power.
Okay, so what has been shown in that particular video, the number of things, no more tunnels, no more fear, that is the voice that can be heard in that particular video. It is created by artificial intelligence, and Trump Gaza is finally here. It also says Donald's coming to set you free.
From whom? Set us free from what? From the Israeli occupiers? This is our land. Why they are not understanding that this is our land, this is our place, this is the Palestinian land, this is the Palestinian place since years. They are not. There was no Israel before 1948. So what does this mean? This means that this was the Palestinian place. Before that, it's only those troops who came and occupied Palestine. So they have to be removed. I don't know why the American administration are, their minds not opening up to see the reality. They want people to understand, oh, the Palestinians are bad people. Palestinians have tunnels. Of course they will make tunnels. Well, how they will fight back? They need to fight their enemy. They need to flee their country. They need to push the occupiers out from their country. So let them do what they want. What else? What kind of human will be a person if he accepts an occupier on his land, on his house, on killing his family, killing his people? So this is totally a non-acceptable equation from the Americans. And I don't know still, I don't know why they are not opening their eyes on the reality.
Let me bring in Mr. NAZZAL into the discussion also. Mr. NAZZAL, by looking at this particular statement by the UN envoy for peace process in the Middle East, saying that this particular opportunity could be historic, but this could be our last chance when we talk about achieving the two-state solution. She also has talked about what aggressive measures Israel has been resorting to that remain to be an existential threat to the prospect of a viable and independent Palestinian state and thereby the two-state solution. Your analysis regarding that?
Yeah, not only the two-state solution is in tatters now and in a very extreme danger really, but the whole existence of the Palestinian people is at risk as Israel is still refusing even to start the negotiations of the second phase of the ceasefire deal with the Palestinians in Gaza, because they know that entering into the second phase negotiations means that they are going to talk about the end of the war on Gaza, while what Israel is thinking of is to get its captives back and not to end the war against the Palestinian people. At the same time, here in the occupied West Bank, and I think that you have watched the Israeli tanks storming the Palestinian cities and the Palestinian refugee camps in the northern part of the West Bank. And of course, the other parts of the West Bank are not in a better situation, which means that Israel is ending any possibility for the two-state solution. And this is not strange to the Israeli occupation rightist extremist government, because Netanyahu was the first one even to reject Oslo Accord when it was signed between Israel and the PLO, because he doesn't want any accord or anything talking about Palestinian representation and about any solution that could lead in the end to the Palestinian statehood. Only 22%, not that much, 22% of historic Palestine, West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem. So yes, the two-state solution is...
What I understand, there is a clarity as to the intention of the Israelis, particularly when we talk about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. What about the intention of the American authorities, given the fact there's new president over there in the United States of America? On 4th of February, he came up with the proposal of taking the ownership of Gaza, converting it into the Riviera of the Middle East. Now he has posted a video on the social media platform Truth Social, promoting his plan of taking the ownership and converting it into a holiday destination. Firstly, your understanding as to this particular proposed plan, the intention behind it, and do you think this is doable with such a resistance and rejection, outright rejection from the neighboring countries coming as well? Do you think it could be implemented on the ground?
Look, the American administration plan or idea of taking over Gaza and turning it from a heap of rubble into Riviera for the Western wealthy people like Musk and other rich Americans and Western characters, this is not new, because this is complementary to what has already started by the previous administration of Joe Biden, who provided Israel with thousands of tons of bombs and ammunition to continue the genocidal campaign against the Palestinian people. And we all know that without the American support provided by Biden, Israel would not have the capacity to continue its genocidal campaign against the Palestinians. So Trump is coming now to complete what Biden started by saying that he wants to take over Gaza and change it into Riviera. Of course, the Palestinian people are known to all over the world, that they never give up, they never abandon their national project and their national rights, and they have been fighting against the Israeli occupation since 1948, and any other foreign power thinking of coming and occupying any part of Palestine, it's going to face the same fate, the resistance that Israel is facing today, and the Americans experienced the occupation of Iraq and other parts of the Arab world and Islamic world, and they failed. So the people of Palestine are not going to welcome Donald Trump and his echelon with flowers and with songs. No.
Right, Mr. Nazzal, going a little back in history, there had been massive displacements a number of times already. So by looking at that, don't you think this time around this could be made a possibility when US President Donald Trump seems to be so serious about displacing all these Palestinian people towards the neighboring countries and converting it to this trip into a holiday destination?
The neighboring countries, particularly Egypt and Jordan, have declared openly and absolutely that they won't allow the displacement of the Palestinian people from Gaza and the West Bank. And Trump himself said that he was surprised by that response from these two Arab countries, in addition to the position of almost all the Arab countries and Islamic countries, in addition to European countries. So the Trump plan was faced with Arab, Islamic, and international opposition and by Palestinian resistance. So the implementation of such a plan without cooperation from the nearby countries, from the Arab countries, that keep his plan not achievable. But what we hope is that not only statements and not only opposition, what we need and wish from the Arab countries, mainly the nearby countries, to open the border and allow more humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza and to restart the reconstruction of Gaza in order to support the steadfastness of its people without waiting for a permission from the Israeli occupation or from the American administration. If that happens with Arab and Islamic support, I think the Palestinian people's steadfastness would never be shaken and they will continue to exist on their own homeland.
I get your point. The role and the responsibility of the Arab nations surrounding Palestine of ensuring inflow of the humanitarian aid as well as ensuring the reconstruction. I'll come back to these two very important points that you have mentioned, Mr. Nazzal. Mr. Humayun, when we talk about, you already mentioned that it seems very difficult that any amicable solution to this conflict could be reached. Then what's the way forward? If there is no amicable solution, resistance continues to go on, more and more sacrifices from the innocent people in Gaza, given the asymmetry of this particular conflict?
So here's the thing. I think to understand how we can resolve this issue, we do need to have a very solid understanding of how this issue was created in the first place, which goes back to the Zionist movement of the 19th century, because this Palestine territory was under the Ottoman rule for about 400 years. And then the Zionist movement started Eastern Europe, and European Jews, they wanted a homeland. And Britain agreed that Palestine should be given to the Zionist movement. Palestine never agreed to that. 1917 Balfour Declaration comes, everybody knows what happened. 1947, they came up with a plan, divided it. The plan, the United Nations came up with a plan that the Jews accepted, but the Arabs outrightly rejected that plan. Despite that, when one party has rejected it, they went ahead with it. And then obviously Israel accepted it and became a state. And it's been 70 plus years that nobody has talked about the statehood of Palestine. Even Gaza was occupied till 2005. Like there was Israeli military and Israeli occupation even till 2005, and that started from 1947. So why is this happening? And I think the reason behind this is the unconditional support of the global superpower, that is the United States of America, giving it to the Israeli government and the Israeli state. And that, I think, has a reason, because it wants to have a foothold in the Middle East, a very strong ally in the Middle East that can keep a check on all the Arab Muslim states. And until and unless that support weakens, I don't see the state of Israel sitting on the same table with the Palestinians. And that support will probably, in Trump administration, will not go away anytime soon. Maybe post-Trump, maybe in the next 5 years, 10 years, if there's a strategic shift in US policy and even slightly less support of the Israeli state, maybe we can talk about a solution of a two-state solution, pre-1967 borders.
Yeah.
But again, we have to remember that Israel never accepts that. Israel doesn't accept the two-state solution. They will still create problems.
What about the mandate of the United Nations Security Council in that particular regard?
United Nations, we've seen the impact of United Nations in the past 2 years. They have been saying everything against this war. They have tried everything they could. Nothing has happened. The war did not stop because of United Nations. Everything gets vetoed. We've seen the US use veto power in the past 2 years, multiple times. So I think the United Nations is, it's a body that is very good if you want to curtail issues of countries that are not, how do you say, in the spotlight or in favor of the United States. But if a superpower is with a country, it will just veto the solution and it won't go ahead. And we've seen that multiple times in the past 2 years.
Right. Mr. Younis, let's talk about this particular video. Your understanding regarding the intention behind this. Also, at the same time, President Donald Trump, in one of his interviews, saying that the way to do it is in my plan. I think that's the plan that really works, but I'm not forcing it. I'm just going to sit back and recommend it.
I just really don't know why the Americans want the piece of Gaza. They won't use it for, as you say, for his new project. Why? There's no other places in this world other than this beach of Gaza. So the beaches of this world have ended now. It's only Gaza. That's why I say this is a religious thing in their mind. It is not a business mind. I'm 100% sure this is the backbone of this idea is a religious idea. It's a Jewish idea. It's a Zionist idea. They think that this is a holy place for them, so they have to do it. That's the only reason pushes the Americans to do or to come up with this idea. Otherwise, there's no any thing that pushed the United States of America to come, fight, force, bring new projects. The president of the state just moves and make a video about Gaza. This is something really can't be. Nobody can't catch up.
Watch that video?
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Yeah,
And it's very
it promotes the transformation of that strip, and also featuring Elon Musk as well as the American and Israeli leaders present on a beach.
So why is that?
Also the golden statue of himself, Donald Trump.
So why is that? Just tell me, why is that? Is there no enough places in this world? There's no enough beaches in this world. Why the beach of Gaza is very much? It's the Gaza Strip, by the way. It's a very small part. It's 300 kilometers, 340, I think 60 kilometers. So it's not a place, but yes, it is a religious concept behind it. So that's why the only solution.
What do you understand of this particular statement when he says that I am not going to force it, I am going to just sit back?
Because he can't force it. What he will do? They are fighting the Palestinians for 15 months. We are talking about how many militants the Palestinians have. 1,000, 2,000? How many? What kind of troops was used against the Gazan people? Tanks, air force, submarines, intelligence forces, drones, multiple missiles from everywhere. It was 24/7 missiling Gaza by the American weapons and the Israeli hand. So this means that they are actually coming out from their old solution. They have no other solution. Yes, he can't force. What he will force? He force whom? He can't force the Israeli couldn't force the Palestinians to leave Palestine, to leave Gaza.
You already talked of complete elimination of occupation. How is that doable? I mean, why not two-state solution where the two communities could live side by side, and that is what is recognized in a number of UN SC resolutions also. What's harm in that?
Because we have seen when the power is with the Israelis, we do know what they do, how they react, how they act actually against the Palestinians. So the two-state solution, which they have rejected themselves, the Israelis themselves. Why? Because they don't want us to have the same power as they have. They don't want us to be equal to them. They want to have more force so they can keep themselves in higher positions, so they want to stay as an occupier. They don't want to live with us as a normal people, as a human, as a normal citizen. No, they want to stay having the force in their hand, having the influence in their hand, having the power, especially the military power in their hand. So how come two-state solution comes out? It will never come out. That's why we understand now from their reaction on the two-state solution that there is no way out with those Israeli occupiers. The only way out that they leave the country.
How they're going to leave the country? That is exactly practically
so
how is it doable?
Why they left in 2005? They left Gaza. Why in 2005? Because they were unable to stay in Gaza because we were fighting them.
They left at that particular time after so many years now.
Yeah.
They've come again, once again bombing Gaza, trying to recapture it.
But they couldn't.
And with a new plan that is coming to the fourth now.
But they couldn't recapture Gaza. They are unable. Okay, they have destroyed Gaza. That's true. But have they captured Gaza? Can they capture Gaza? Have they eliminated the Palestinians? Have they did the Palestinians accept to go out from Gaza? All this haven't happened. Still in the West Bank. It's happening in the West Bank. Also, people are fighting the West Bank. There is Palestinians inside the Israeli, the occupied land. So, see, there is a time of occupy. It will end. Yes, maybe it's not in my generation, not in my lifetime, but this is going to end because occupiers will never
This is going to
stay.
end, Mr. Humayun. I guess you have got a point to make.
Actually,
Please quickly.
I just want to say that they left in 2005, and even like not just now, 3 years or 4 years after that, they did this Operation Cast Lead, which was another operation in Gaza, and then another one in 2014, I think.
Yeah.
Another one in 2017, another one in 2021, the Sheikh Jarrah conspiracy. They call it a conspiracy, and many other operations every few years. So what happens is, if you look at the past, there's a very interesting pattern. Gaza rebuilds itself. It's slightly prosperous. There's peace in the land. Israel looks at that. Israel comes, bombs, destroys everything, demolishes everything. According to Trump, Gaza is right now a demolition site. And then the world donors come in. They again start rebuilding. After a few years, Israel comes back again and then does the same thing. So I think it's as our guest was saying, that you cannot accept an occupation, and as Palestinians you cannot expect them to just leave that land, go to a different country because somebody wants to build a 5-star hotel strip on your land. So that's not going to happen. And we keep saying I think actually this shouldn't even be a discussion, because we keep saying that Jordan and Egypt have rejected it. Fine, they've rejected it, because why would they take them? But Palestinians themselves have rejected it. They don't want to leave Gaza. Why would they want to leave their home? And why should they? So I think the solution, and again, we see a lot of these incendiary statements from Israelis and from the Western countries that they have tunnels in Gaza, they have ammunition, they're doing this, they're doing that. But we see the Israelis are doing the same thing in West Bank as well. There are no tunnels. The Fatah is not doing what Hamas is doing, but they're still killing people. They're still in apartheid region in West Bank. So I think I'll revert back to what I was saying originally, that unless power is taken from Israel, and unless it is made to realize that it is not the regional great power, it will not sit with Gaza or Palestine and seriously discuss an issue.
And how can that power be taken back? I'll come back to you. Let me go once again to Mr. NAZZAL. Mr. NAZZAL, Mr. YOUNIS is of the view that Palestinians want a complete elimination of the occupation. How practically that could be done? How doable that is?
Look, the Palestinian people accepted the minimum when they approved of the two-state solution. And we all know that this was not a Palestinian proposal. It is a proposal by the international community and the United Nations, because it gives the Palestinians only 22% of their right to all of Palestine, as the Palestinian refugees who are besieged and being annihilated by the Israeli forces in Jenin refugee camp or Tul Karim here in the West Bank are coming from Haifa, Jaffa, and Safed. their families were expelled in 1948. But in order to come to terms with the proposal of the world community, the PLO accepted the two-state solution. Israel is killing the two-state solution by eliminating Gaza and by grabbing more of the Palestinian land in the West Bank and by announcing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, as Trump did in his first term. So the only solution now, which the world should focus on as it can't enforce the two-state solution, is the one-state solution. A state that respects the rights of all of its citizens. All the citizens are treated equally. One person, one vote. Would Israel accept that? I don't think so, but you need to have enough power to enforce either the two-state solution or the one-state solution on Israel. Israel, what it wants is that the current situation, an apartheid regime where the Jews have all the rights while the Palestinian people suffer all features of torture and ordeal under this occupation. So that is the idea of eliminating the occupation by the one-state solution that respects the rights of all the citizens, Palestinians and Jews. So this is the way I see the occupation would be eliminated.
That one-state solution, so who is going to govern that one state with the Muslims and Jews being equal citizens over there?
Yeah, so when we are talking about a state that respects all the rights of all of its citizens and no discrimination between a Muslim or a Jew, an Arab or an Israeli, then you're talking about a democratic state that has electoral system and the leaders who the people elect are going to lead the state. And in this formula, the Palestinians are going to hit the state because the number of the Palestinian people in historic Palestine is bigger than that of the Israelis or of the Jews. And that's why I say the Israeli occupation government and the Israeli society won't agree to such a solution. So the only way out and the most logical way out of that is that the Europeans, the Americans, Arabs and Muslims come together and enforce the two-state solution on Israel without using power, without imposing sanctions on Israel. Israel won't accept that because Israel is feeling like euphoric and luxurious. It has all the power, it has all the support from the Western countries.
Very important point, Mr. Nazzal, you have already made. Let me take that point quickly to other participants also. One state solution. What's your understanding has been proposed by Mr. Nazzal?
Pakistan's official stance is that we do not accept the state of Israel and we will accept the two-state solution. And I think I would agree with that because I think if, in all due respect to Mr. Nazzal, but I think if you try to impose a one-state solution due to the demographic realities of that country and the power that resides...
That is exactly what he also said at the end, that it's not going to be accepted to the Zionist regime. So the only solution, the only viable solution remains to be the two-state solution.
And that we should be very careful when we say two-state solution pre-1967 borders, because Israel has occupied a lot more territory after that. And if we give that same territory back to Israel, then, you know, if we legitimize it, then that's not really going to work. And I think I actually want to make this point as well, that if any other country except Israel had done what Israel has done in the past 2 years, it would have seen massive sanctions from the US. It would have seen possibly even an invasion from the US. Israel has not just killed 60, 70,000 people in Palestine. It has bombed 2 other sovereign nations. It has bombed Damascus, it has bombed Syria, and it is just running rampant, wild in this region without any other country capable of stopping it. Why? Because the world's superpower is unconditionally supporting that and supporting this genocide. And until that support goes away, I don't see a solution happening.
Okay, so what about the reconstruction of Gaza, the kind of damage and destruction that has been accrued since 7th of October 2023 in particular? What about the reconstruction? Who do you think should ideally be taking the ownership of that reconstruction? Because the damage and the destruction came from this Zionist regime, the state of Israel. Why would the neighboring countries or the Muslim or the Arab nations have to pay for that?
Actually, I think that's more of a humanitarian issue. So you will see that a lot of these global international lenders and agencies and donors would come in, and this has happened in the past as well. You know, whenever Israel destroys Gaza, these donors come in and they donate and they try to rebuild the country, and that's more of a humanitarian concern rather than a political issue. So I think that will happen, and we will see billions of dollars flowing, hopefully, into Gaza, and a rebuilding of the homes that have been destroyed.
$53 billion is the UN estimate to rebuild this particular territory,
Yes.
and it would take quite considerable period of time.
And who's going to give those $53 billion?
Yeah, so there is an emergency Arab League summit that is expected on 4th of March in Cairo. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia also hosted an alternative summit regarding the reconstruction, rebuilding of Gaza. How do you look at those steps in that particular direction?
I think they're obviously genuinely positive steps, because the next step is to rebuild Gaza, because right now if you look at Gaza, there's practically over 90, I was reading somewhere, over 93% of homes don't exist there anymore. So I was just reading on your screen earlier that 6 infants have died because of hypothermia, because of the cold. There's nothing there, and Israel is not allowing tents to go inside. So this is outrageous, and I think these sort of summits where the Arab countries sit together, and they're very rich Arab countries. So if they want to, they're very capable of doing this, and sending this aid where it's so much needed right now. And these 2 summits actually show that they're trying, at least trying.
Mr. Younis, $53 billion are required as per the UN estimate to reconstruct Gaza. Where do you think ideally this money should be flowing from?
Well, actually, this money should come from Israel. They are the one who destroyed the places. They are the one who have done this crime. So they should actually pay for this. And again, their leader should be taken to justice. So this is not the way you bombard you kill someone, and other people have to come and bury. No, you have made the mistake. You should correct it. They have killed the people. They should go into. They should be taken to justice. They have destroyed the place. They have to build it. This is number one. But now, saying this will not happen as well. Why? Because they are the enemies. They are considering us as the enemies. They have this for them that they have destroyed the enemy places. So of course they're not going to pay for the Palestinians. This is a very obvious thing. Now, speaking back, I have to comment on the 2-state solution. Now, why we are coming with this idea? We have seen them rejecting it. Why we are coming? Why we are holding it? Why we are giving the Israelis the solution? No, they have made this mistake. The mistake is to occupy a land which is not yours. So why we are giving them this? Okay, we will accept. You take this part, I take this part. No, this shouldn't be. Yes, you are strong today. I have to be strong. Then I have to take you out, because at the end, this is my land. I'm giving you the solution. I shouldn't do. I have to take me solution. Now I have a problem. My problem is what? That I have occupied my land, so I have to take the occupier out. Not giving him a solution that, oh, you have occupied my land. Okay, take this part. I'll take this part. This is not going to happen. This is not rational. This is not an extravagant. Okay, we are saying this. Why? Because they are strong. They are strong today. They're not going to remain strong forever. So we should build ourselves. We should build our home. We should be strong. We should come. We should, be rich in our knowledge. Be rich in our, we have all the resources, but we don't have.
One of
this
our last conversations, you were of the view that this particular land holds equal value for Muslims and Jews alike, right? So if Jews are going to stay there, so what are the viable solutions in that particular regard? With the existence of Jews over there?
See, this place is holy for the Muslim. This is on the first thing. The priority goes for the Muslim.
Right.
This is very obvious. Number two, the problem is not that the Jews can go or not. The problem is that the Jews shouldn't control this area, because this is just like Makkah and Medina.
That is exactly the question that I've asked Mr. NAZZAL, that if the one-state solution, when he suggested that, at the end saying that it's not going to be acceptable based on the demography over there to the Zionist state, hence the two-state solution is only the viable solution. My question to you is, where would that entire population of Jews be going if it's for the complete elimination of the occupation?
It's back to their countries. There's an American Jewish, there's the Italians, the French, go back to their countries. We are Palestinians, Muslim, Christian, whatever. We are Palestinians, this is our land. Everybody have their own nationality. You have seen there around 1 million Israeli have left Palestine during this war. Where they have
1 million have left already.
Almost around, the official number is around 800,000. So it's around 1 million, you know. So if this number of people have gone, where have they gone? They have gone back to their country. So the rest have to go back.
So what about one state solution? Whoever grabs the more constituencies over there, who has got more population, so counting the number of heads, whoever wins over there in a democratic process, do you think that could be also a solution, a possible alternative?
We are again speaking about very imaginary solutions. This will never happen. We should understand the mentality and the strategy of the Israeli occupiers. They will not give us any of these chances or options. They will only have one option for us, elimination. They want to eliminate us, and that's what they're doing.
Right. Mr. Nazzal, your quick closing comments regarding as to the UN estimate of $53 billion required for the reconstruction of Gaza Strip after this much of damage and destruction since 7th of October 2023. Where should this money and funding should ideally be coming from?
It should, of course, if we are talking about a just word, a fair word, then the victimizer must compensate the victim and the victimized. And in this case, Israel is the murderer, and Israel must be the payer for every dollar of this cost. But we are talking about a hypocritical, unjust, unfair world where Israel is considered as a democracy by the Americans and European governments. And so nobody is gonna push Israel to pay anything. And we saw how the American administration lashed out at the ICC for issuing the arrest warrant against the killer of the Palestinian children, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. So in this case, I don't think that Israel is going to pay, because we are talking about a world ruled by hypocrisy and by the American power.
To Mr. OSAMA NAZZAL, unfortunately we're short of time. I'll have to wrap the show right here. Palestinian affairs expert Mr. OSAMA NAZZAL joining us on Skype. Thank you very much for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. In the studio, we were joined by Mr. SIDDIQUE HUMAYUN, Director Advocacy and Communications, Islamabad Policy Research Institute. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. HUMAYUN. And Mr. Abu Bakr Younis, Arab journalist. Mr. Younis, thank you very much for your time also, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. With that, we come to the end of today's episode. Till the next one, take good care of yourselves.